zombie apocalypse.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's make another spinner. I'm going to call this one the 22.3 spinner because that is the key thing. Make sure that you set your hole to 22.3. I'm going to type that in one more time, 22.3 and 22.3. This is the key, at least with my printers, to getting it to print correctly. And then I like to make that hole 8 millimeters thick so that it's easy to grab after I put my 7 millimeter thick project in place. Once you've got that, you can build your spinner however you want. I am going to build mine with the polygon. And I'm going to click on my polygon this time, and I'm going to build it with an 8-sided polygon just because it feels fun. I'm going to stretch that little critter out, and I'm going to make it 7 centimeters thick. That allows me to arrange them above each other. I'm going to make sure I fit view and look at the top so I can see that it really fits, and you can see that it did not. So I'm going to click on the polygon. Now I've got it so it fits. I can select both. And I'm going to align them so that it's centered the way I want. With that piece in place, I'm going to duplicate my hole because I'm going to use it again, just using the arrow keys to move it out of the way. And I'm going to group this finished part so that that stays together. So there you can see my beginning piece where it is just the way I want it. Now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to find a cool piece. I want to use the gear. To get to the gear, you need to go to the shape generator. And in the featured shape generators, there's a cool metric gear right there. And I want this metric gear to be on the outside of my shape where I'm going to put my bearings. I'm going to stay with a bearing spinner this time, so I'm going to keep the 22.3. I simply stretch that out. I'm going to do that fit part. I'm going to check from the top to make sure that it's the correct size. I need to make it shorter so I can see it. So there I'm going to go down to my 7 centimeter size. And I can see that my bearing almost fits perfect. Now I'm happy with it. And I'm just going to tinker with the teeth. I'm going to see what it looks like with more teeth. That did not work. Because as I zoom out, look how far the teeth are. I'm going to go back to 18 because that did function. And I have now figured out that you don't want to mess with those. You can mess with the pitch angle. I'm going to zoom in. And you can see here, this is how you can make these more spiky, less spiky, all kinds of different adjustments for what your project is. I'm going to take those two and I'm going to align them so that they're centered and centered. That one already was. And I'm going to group them. So now you get to decide what kind of spinner you're making, how many pieces you're putting on it. Using the octagon is kind of cool. If you build off the center here, that allows you to go 1, 2, 3 and have them perfectly placed. You could also go 4 by going off this side, and this side so that they'd be across from each other. I'm going to go with the 3-piece one, so I'm going to do Control-D to duplicate. And I'm going to just move this down like this, duplicate that one. It goes all kitty-wampus just because of the way it moves. I'm using the nudge key to get it back where I want. I want to just make sure that these are touching. You can see I poked that one through just a little too much, so I got to back it off one. I'm clicking on this one now and adjusting it so it's where I like it. I'm going to take these 2 pieces and make sure they're at the exact same alignment this way. And you would have, at that point, a pretty sweet spinner. If I group those, I can take a peek at what it looks like. I could also take another part and change my shape a little by filling in this edge area so that the way those little holes weren't there. I'm going to fix that by just going back to the normal shapes. And I'm going to put a nifty little rectangle in that spot. So I'm just going to drop the box in. First thing is I'm going to shrink it to 7 so it's the right height. And then if I pull in that 20 by 20, I can add that so that it fills in that corner for me nice and nifty. And I'm going to do that for each of those corners. Control D, move it down, rotate it. Control D. Nice that it flips for me. I think that was just dumb luck. I'm going to get a fit view and a top view. Make sure I like the way those are aligned. I'm thinking I don't like that they go so far, so I am going to just make it manually fill in the hole. Not my best piece of planning, but sometimes you don't have to plan. Sometimes you just like, I want it to fit, I want it to print, I want it to look the way I want. So you squeeze it all in and make it happen. I'm going to call that good. I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to add one more important piece. I don't want to lose my spinner, so I'm going to cut my initials into it. I'm going to put my initials right up here on the top. So I'm just going to go down to the text tool, drag that little critter out, make it an MH. I think capital MH is cooler. And then I like to shrink with the black handles because it doesn't change the depth at all. I'm going to make it a hole. I'm going to orient it the way that I want. And I'm going to move it into my project. And I don't want to cut all the way through, so I'm going to raise it up a couple millimeters. And then shrink it so it fits exactly where I want. With your initials where you want them, do Control Z to accidentally undo that. You simply group it, and not only do you have a cool spinner, it also ends up having your initials in it, which is extremely cool. If you make something awesome like that, please make sure you share it at me using the share button. Make sure you invite people, create that link, and email it to Harmon M. Thanks for tinkering. Have a good time. Please subscribe and comment if you have the time.
Unicorn Zombie Apocalypse.